Dr. Otenyi, thank you for making time out to speak with us today. The last conversation we had with you, the last interview we had cut short because you had an emergency C-section. I hope it was a safe delivery and everything is fine. Mother and child are doing well.
Exactly. Everything is okay.
Thank you. We were speaking before we got caught up. We're speaking about the challenges you face as a doctor in a community where the people are not as as buoyant as most community, and most of them are well challenged and do not have regular jobs. Some are traders, low income earners live around that environment, and you were talking about how difficult it is to even get a lab where they can run a proper scan. If you said to somebody, I need something in 20 minutes, it probably won't happen. They have to go all the way to fast track, which means if it's a critical condition, the person will probably die before they get there. It's not funny, but it's the reality. And it breaks our heart to hear that. But, I think it's about time we pay a lot of attention to the medical, the health industry in Nigeria and see what can be done, and just hear from doctors like you who are doing their best in very small communities and trying to make a difference. We're talking about technology and COVID, how everything changed today and how doctors are trying to think out of the box to be able to provide that kind of care that their patients require. What, in your opinion, is the future of medicine and tech? And how are you bringing that into your own business? How are you doing that in your practice?
Okay. Actually, when I wanted to start, I actually wanted to digitize everything. Are you getting it? So, starting from patient registration. Right now, globally, people use electronic management system. Are you getting it? Or normally they call it electronic hospital system, where almost everything that you do in the hospital is 100% electronic, starting from the patient consultation with the doctor, then inpatient management, outpatient management, every services. So that's exactly what I wanted to do. But when you want to start, it's always capital intensive. So for you to do this, you need computer, you need a lot of networking. So it's not something that is easy. So, but going forward, it's something that definitely I really want to do because it brings efficiency, especially in your management, especially when it comes to probably pharmaceutical services or even in terms of stock keeping. It helps you to know when a particular product is already going down, and it also helps you in your finance management that you don't need to start bothering yourself about your earnings. So you know what you are getting per day, you know what you are spending per day, you know what you are doing to. Then, secondly, when you talk about this technology, a lot of things actually come into play because maybe in terms of equipment, for instance, we have advanced imaging studies, like when it comes to ultrasound, we have 4D machines and 3D machines, but these machines are very, very costly. But yet, it helps to make a proper diagnosis, especially when you want to do an ultrasound scan. And now, right now, we have digital X-rays that are not even that big, that can provide instant imaging study to patients. Because, my aim here is actually to provide a kind of a one-stop healthcare center. And actually, to really have this going on, it requires these technologies. Are you getting it? And then even in chemistry tests, we have auto analyzers. So it's no longer a case of you saying which improves the turnaround time. And this auto analyzers, you can talk about doing up to 500 tests within an hour or thereabouts. So these are things that we need, that technology comes into play. Even in microscope, there are advanced microscope machines now that can actually help you do a lot of things. So, around this our area, this can offer a whole lot, especially to patients that will need it here. But the problem becomes the funding. Are you getting it? Okay, now let me just give you an example of what I'm trying to say. You see, like me that is back home here now, when I wanted to start, I struggled to actually provide some of the equipment that I'm using now. But somehow I was able to see someone who wanted to help and supplied me the little that he can. So, but somehow, that's the trust. Would I say the trust? Maybe people don't really have the trust. Maybe they want to put something back home, but they might not have the trust as far, hey, who do I probably entrust? Maybe if I want to do this investment. So I'm actually looking out to say, okay, if there is anybody out there, anywhere, and you say, okay, I'm ready. When it comes to this issue of how do we improve with technologies, I have so much passion and ideas on what we can do more. Are you getting it? Especially with what technology is bringing into medicine that we can use and kind of maximize the potential that is where I am now. Yeah, I must tell you the truth. If probably I have the resource to put up a center that is capable of running some things that I really want to do, believe it me, anybody that might say, okay, I want to do investment around this area, the person in less than 5 years will be reaping nothing less than 10 times what the person invested. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that what we can get with technology is so much, but the problem remains the funding. How do you be able to get the funding to be able to get these things in place? Because let me just give you an example now, like a 4D or 3D ultrasound machine is not less than 7, 8, 9 million. You get it? And then if you talk about this auto analyzer, most of them 4, 5, 6 million. You get for something that is of quality. Are you getting it? So most are implementing this technology and improving, which definitely improve patient outcome. Because now let me tell you what it does. If probably you have an auto analyzer, or maybe if you have a digital scan in place where you are working, what it means that once patient come in less than 30 minutes or maximum 1 hour, you've already been able to get information regarding whatever you want to investigate for. Probably the person is having kidney problem, or if the person is having any problem that might require you to do a kidney liver profile or kidney function test, or even lipid profile. Within an hour, you'll be able to get it. And that also improves your response to the patient's complaint. And then complication will also reduce at the end of the day. But the problem here is that most times when patient come, you now start to refer probably to lab center that is still far away. Sometimes the result takes 1 day, 2 days to come out. Now, let me give you an example of what I'm saying now. Yesterday, I saw a man with chronic urinary retention. This man probably has been having urine stored inside his bladder for more than 2 weeks. So he came yesterday. I needed to do PSA. You get it now? Now, I don't believe that if in a equipped center, that PSA should be out that same yesterday. So that if probably there is any sign that to show, oh, this man might be having cancer, it can also help you to say, oh, this PSA is high, so that we don't need to delay further. You see it now. So, but now the result will take almost 2 days or thereabout to come out. You see. So you see, the technology aspect of medicine is quite interesting, and it really do help in the management of patients, especially in terms of the time for you to institute your care. Exactly. You see, once you know that time, it's always good for you to do things better and avoid a lot of complications.
Looking at your profile, you talked about zero maternal and prenatal mortality since you opened your clinic, which is quite impressive. I find it really very impressive. However, when I was going through a report by UNICEF, and Statista said something that was very captivating. They said for every, in 2022, this year alone, for every live birth in Nigeria, we witness at least 56,000 deaths of children under the age of 5 in Nigeria. And then UNICEF said that Nigeria has become one of the world's #1 contributor of deaths of children under the age of 5. And we overtook India. And India is approximately a population of 1 billion people. And we are 200 million. We overtook India in this because they were ahead of us before. And they're saying that, it's very frustrating that because they're saying there's a lack of plan and ambition in tackling diseases causing deaths of children, which should be curable. Now, when you listen to that, when you read something like that, you have to imagine that. Imagine a life, so something that we can, malaria, things that are easy to cure, and there's a total ignorance of how it is being managed in our society. Now, they also mentioned that, okay, some of the sicknesses, some of the diseases that are causing, that, that are very common in this environment, this pneumonia, you have pneumonia, you have diarrhea, you have malaria. They are one of the leading causes of this deaths that we witness and, they record. But also, there's also the preterm birth and ultrapartum related complications. Now, when you think about that as a doctor, when you hear those numbers and think about, pneumonia today, pneumonia and diarrhea, these are, what comes to mind, and what as a practitioner, what are you thinking? What do you do to avoid that in your own practice, given your record so far?
Okay, you see, one of the major challenges that we have in Nigeria regarding all these statistics that is coming out is, number one is poor access to quality healthcare. That's it. People not having access to quality healthcare, because I can just imagine myself as a doctor where I am now. We are open to service. Do you get it? So number one factor that determines people access to healthcare is finance. So people have the money, not that they don't have the money, they have the money, but then they have to consider probably their own need, maybe food, clothing, and other domestic needs. And they always have it over their healthcare needs. So in seeking healthcare, number one is that we don't have many of the quality healthcare services available. So the ones that are available are not even up to standard to provide the quality care that is needed. So, but I believe my experience over the past 10 years as a medical doctor managing women, now let me put it this way, where I was before I started my own, from 2016 till 2022 that I worked there, we did not record any maternal mortality. Yet we had more than 500 births, not even one maternal mortality. Now, any mortality that we experience, probably for a mother or a child, is mostly because of decisions taken by the patient. What is the decision? Most times, ignorance. Ignorance in the sense that many people have this belief in many illnesses or even ways of giving birth. You get it? So sometimes a child might be vomiting and stooling. The mother will say that it is sick. So now there is this delay to present to the hospital. Two, there is this pressure from the neighbors that they will still tell them, look, don't go to hospital, that this child is teething, so therefore you are going to waste money. So that idea of wasting money becomes another issue of saying they are not going to hospital. A woman might be in labor and maybe a little thing might happen. They will tell the woman, don't go. They will now end up doing operation for you, and that will become another issue. So they will now decide not to go to hospital because of that. But you see, the only thing I think maybe government should do in these cases, number one is if government can subsidize health, and if in doing this, they can't do it alone. Because why I say the government can't do it alone is that it is more easier for government to partner with private health organizations to provide quality care to all Nigerians wherever they are. Because me as a doctor, if a child presents to me with pneumonia, I see no reason why that child should die. Because once I understand what is wrong with the child and institute the appropriate care, within 24 hours, that child should start getting better. And if government partners with the private individuals and then provide subsidized care, I think it will send a message across. Once a child starts being sick, you see those decisions that most of these mothers do take, that maybe the child is having teething, they might not take it because they might not know that if they go to hospital, that it's going to be cheap for them. They're not going to be spending so much. And they will not even want to listen to the advice of the neighbors anymore, because they believe that when they go there, they will receive a quality care at a very cheap price.
Yeah, okay. Talking about care, doctor, sorry to cut you short. What about hospitals? I mean, I don't want to mention names, but we've had a lot of experience. I know people who had really bad experience with well-known hospitals, that are supposed to have world-class doctors, that are supposed to have the right facility and not cheap, very expensive. And yet, there's a lack of care in those hospitals. A lot of common mistakes that even a small practice should know, yet they have patients dying from those diseases. That, ignorance. These are hospitals that are expensive in well-known areas, in the right environment where they're supposed to have people who can pay. But also those people go there and they don't get the same care. There's a lot of mistakes because what is happening? Is it a sense of a lack of accountability in Nigeria for doctors, where big hospitals do not have to answer to anybody when people die? So people go there, and even though they're supposed to know better, there's ignorance and people still die. And nobody asks any question, and that's case closed. The next patient comes in and they kill the next patient. And these are big hospitals.
Good. I think sometimes there is negligence on the part of some doctors. Are you getting it? And this practice is very delicate and sensitive. And for anybody who is a medical doctor who understands this profession very well, it is not something that one should joke with or even give any chance to failure. I give you an example as my own self. This present place that I am now, I am residing right inside the facility. You get it? So I live right inside this facility, 247. I don't go anywhere. I hardly even leave the vicinity for anything. Because one thing is this: healthcare is not predictable. So you cannot predict anything. Let me just give you, just like that Sunday we were conversing and I was called for emergency. Now, assuming if a doctor is not around to attend to a woman in such situation, the slightest delay that you have, that's the end of someone's life. You get it? So, and you see, for every hospital that is providing services, there is no reason why there should not be a doctor present in that hospital 247. And not that you are present, but ability to be up and doing, knowing what to do and doing it at the appropriate time. So most times I understand the problem with some of these big hospitals. Sometimes they answer big hospitals by name, in the sense that they have the structure. They have the structure. But in terms of giving the care, the compassionate care, because as a doctor, you have to bring yourself to the level of your patient to actually see what they are going through, so that you don't need to even use for failure. So this is the problem. I believe that with time, people are beginning to be aware to know what they should receive from doctor and even ask the right questions. So because where mitigations are more, you don't see them because most of our Nigerian doctors who go overseas, they are always up and doing. They're on their toes. That means they're doing what is right. So you can't just say because in Nigeria things are not the way it is overseas, you can decide to relax and then not take care of what you're supposed to do. Are you getting it? So it comes from the doctor's decision to administer the care. Just like me now, I wouldn't want to have any mortality here. And because of that, I will always want to be around. Even if in a day you might not really see the patient, the number you want to see, but still be around. Because they can just bring in a woman that is bleeding, and maybe, or a woman just delivered in your own facility, and after the delivery, the woman starts bleeding. If you are not there, in 5 minutes, the woman is dead. You get it?
Before I go to my last question, how important is it to have access to specialists who you can consult with on special situations? For example, given technology today, we can have access to, if we have the connection and the right relationship, we can have access to any kind of specialist around the world. How important is that for you, especially in that community where you live? For example, if there's signs of something you're thinking, okay, it might be a cardiological problem, or there's a specialist that I know, even if it's not abroad, it's in Nigeria, but somewhere else, and I have access to him. How important is that for, in terms of how we use technology and how we connect with specialists all over the world, to have that kind of support in that environment, in that community, in a low community where they could forever not be able to afford those kind of specialists? How important is that for you right now?
Very, very, very important. Very, very important. In primary health care, you are the first point of call to the specialty care. But then, if you are seeing, say, 100 patients, out of that 100 patients, at least up to 30% of it will need specialist care. So it's always a difficult thing because, like most of us that is here now, just like, okay, let me just give you an example. Just like the man I saw yesterday, that man needs a urologist. Are you getting me? But now, if I definitely, like in my own little experience or what I do, is I will eventually invite a urologist. Are you getting it? Who will come in and do a prostate biopsy? Then going forward. But it's not always easy. You get it? So, and what I actually said is the situation, just like you're talking about the technology, if we can have like a pool of specialists who can always give their services to any of these primary health care or even facilities all around the world. And people are willing to pay. One thing about this practice is more of knowledge-based, and then experience. So, and as a doctor, you can identify a problem, and then if probably with what I have in place for now, there are certain level of surgical procedures that can be done in my center. Are you getting me? But then there is still the capacity to do more. You see it now, because the thing is that not all the because in a pediatrician now probably cannot just have only pediatrics center, because there might be people who will be around that place that the pediatrician is that will still need other services that is not pediatric. So you see that when you have a center where most specialist care can converge, and probably you have services being rendered even remotely, it's going to be so fantastic, because that's exactly what I'm looking at. Because on a daily basis, 1 out of or 2, 3 out of 10 patients you are seeing, many of them will need care. And the nearest place you would have this care for them, last week. And the rigorous process for them to eventually get the care becomes a kind of discouraging factor. So when you now even refer them, they will start asking the doctor, is there anything we can do? Because they don't want to go there. Because going there is always going to be difficult, traumatic, the traffic and everything. So, but if in a place like I am, I can be able to have access to most of these specialist care and they give their input. I'm telling you, many people are willing to pay. If I can have access to specialist care, definitely it will save a whole lot of life because, you know, some people might come with probably heart problem, kidney problem, and then the issue of money in terms of accessing those specialist services elsewhere becomes a very, very difficult thing. Now, if you see what I did yesterday, yes, I'm not a urologist. Are you getting me? But I believe that probably if I don't have the knowledge ab initio, it would have caused that person a whole lot to have the bladder drained. Are you getting it now? But now, there are some of these procedures that, if probably under the guidance of a specialist, you can easily do it. Because the basic thing is that having the knowledge. So with a little guide, because that is what actually a doctor needs, a guide, if you really know what is happening. So having access to specialist services all over the world, it's going to save a whole lot of life in this my center. Actually, my aim now is that if going forward, if I'm able to get the funding that I need, I want to actually upgrade my hospital to a specialist center so that people can now start having specialist care from all kinds of diseases, whatever it is, so that I don't even need to be referring them anymore, because the aim is to provide a one-stop care. And that is what people are looking for, honestly. Because if anybody is coming in here and they want, like, this is my problem, their aim is, doctor, let this problem be solved here. Are you getting it? So
because of the environment, I mean, the traffic is a nightmare to move from there. So that brings me to actually the final part of my question, where do you see ANCOP Medical Service in the next 5 years?
When I started this journey, I know it's not going to be easy, but then I know that the potential is there.
Yeah.
So in the next 5 years, right now, I'm using a rented apartment. So my aim is that within the next 5 years, I should now have my own building of exactly what I want. Are you getting it? And at that point, I want to become a specialist center, because where I am now, going forward, except government change in what they are doing now, we don't have any hope. As in, even if you give me 100 million naira now to give Nigeria, I won't give. I'm telling you, because the responsibility I feel like I have now to the people around this area is something I shouldn't abandon. Are you getting it? And as the day is, so like now, we are just about 500 now, maybe in terms of our families that is being registered under our facility. Now, in the next 5 years, we should be more than 3,000, 4,000. And then these people will depend on you to provide for them quality healthcare services. So in terms of growth, it's going to be exponential. In terms of growth, as in, it's not even a case of maybe whether you, because I already saw what is going on in the healthcare industry in the country, not to even talk of where I am now. You get it? Yeah. So now there is a place not even far away from where my own hospital is. They are already begging me to come and put a branch there, because it's a residential area. But to tell you the truth, there is no one single hospital there. And is a place that have nothing less than 1,000 residential buildings, but yet no single hospital. When I mean hospital, standard hospital. But what you have around there is chemists, small health points that is not even manned by trained health professionals. These people are just quacks that have been able to stay within hospital environment. They now leave and then open chemist shops. And then I tell you this, there is no month you don't have any report of deaths around this area. If I have the money that probably I need now, I have 2 key places now, put in hospital, just as I have it here, and you will not even see a space for you to work what you want to do, because the need is there. As in, the need is there. And then people are ready. Are you getting it? But the problem is what? Having the access becomes a problem, because where my hospital is now, to probably where these people are asking me to go and put a branch, is just between Alaba International Market. So most times, if they have emergencies, the traffic and the access to where I am becomes a difficult thing. So most times, it's only probably it is not something that is that serious emergency.
Yeah.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
That's the only time that you will see, okay, that they can come. But if probably something close to them, believe it me, it saved a whole lot of lives. It saved a whole lot of lives, honestly. Because our people are looking for something good. They are really looking for something good. But when they don't see the alternative, they just choose anything they see. That's just the thing. And it is because of when you have some of this kind of thing, it gives you the hope. Keep doing what they are doing so that you get to where you want to be.
Exactly.
Are you getting it?
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate your time. We hope that somebody watching this video might be able to tap into that and want to support, I mean, if not for anything, but to save life.
My name is Dr. Antony Chukwunonso Otenyi, a general practitioner based in Lagos State. This is my hustle. My hustle is actually to save human life. I have the passion to contribute in having people have quality access care, and to contribute in making sure that Nigeria attains universal health coverage. And I will ask, what is your own hustle? Thank you. Thank you
guys for joining us in this session of our program. We really appreciate your time. That was Dr. Otenyi doing his part to provide healthcare in a community that is lacking adequate healthcare. We hope that one person, 2 people who watch this video and want to partner with doctors in Nigeria to provide healthcare for them. Don't forget to share your stories with us. We're excited to hear true Niger hustlers speak about their hustle. It might encourage someone or inspire someone to do better and to keep at it. So thank you. And we hope that you continue to follow our channel and keep subscribing and following us on all our social media channels, all at Niger Hustle. And you remember what we always say, what's your hustle?